Hey, what's going on YouTube? Today I'm going to make a video about one of my favorite current fighters, Gennady Triple G Golovkin. And the reason why I'm doing this video is a lot of people are saying he's overrated as a fighter, which I completely disagree with, and I'm going to tell you why. Number one, I'm going to start off with his amateur background. He has 350 wins and 5 losses and was never stopped, dropped, anything in amateur boxing, which is amazing. I mean, that's excellent. Another thing is he's beaten some very big names in the amateurs. Lucien Boutet being one, Andre Durrell, Andy Murray is another good fighter that he beat. Also, one reason why I like him as well, he has an excellent chin. Also, he has a very good power. He wears you down during the fights, and his ability to cut off the ring to me is there's very few current fighters in boxing right now that can do it as good as him. And for those three reasons, I think that's a guy, a star in 2014 that everybody needs to watch out for. And also another thing to add about Gennady Golovkin is he already has a pretty big appeal in New York City. From what I hear, the fights down there they're sold out, and the crowd loves him. And he has a great fan base already in the New York City area. Another thing about him is he like a lot of people criticize him. You know, he hasn't fought Sergio Martinez and Peter Quillin, these different guys, but I don't think personally these guys want that fight at this time, to be honest with you. And I look at his resume right now; he's beaten some pretty good fighters already. I mean, he's beaten Gabriel Rosado, he's beaten Matthew Macklin, who gave Sergio Martinez problems. He's beaten Curtis Stevens, who is a brutal puncher, and Gennady took his shots and didn't bother him at all, and he kept on with the fight, didn't wobble him, push the pace on him. He also has beaten Ishida, who's known basically for his knockout of James Kirkland a couple years ago, and that's another rumor going around that after this fight in February 1st, Gennady will be fighting James Kirkland, which I think is going to be an excellent fight myself. A lot of people write off James Kirkland, but I personally like watching him fight. I think he's a tough fighter. I do think Gennady will win that fight though. But yeah, those are just some guys that he fought already. Also, Prox is another one to add to that list. He's a tough fighter, and it's not just the way he fought these guys; it's the way he brutally destroyed some of these guys. I mean, just vicious stuff. I mean, he holds the current record for KO ratio in the middleweight division in the history of the sport, and I mean that's something in itself. And 2014, I'm looking for big things out of him. Hopefully, he can get a fight with Sergio. Peter Quillin would be good. But there's the networks involved in that, politics. But even like if I hope he'd clean out the 160 division first before he'd move up to 168. But I mean, I personally think he beats Chavez Jr., Carl Froch. Um, I think he beats any of those guys really. I mean, the only guy I see giving him problems that is right now is Andre Ward. To me, is the only guy that can give Gennady problems, and people underrate I think Gennady as well. He's a very intelligent fighter. I mean, he can box. I mean, you don't have an amateur background like that if you couldn't box. So that's just my thoughts on that. But another thing is a lot of people give his manager Tom, actually his promoter, I should say, they give him flack for some of the opponents that he's fought against. But I mean, you need to keep him active. Like the big names, they don't want to fight him. I mean, you saw Martin Murray. I mean, he basically ducked him this year. That fight was talked about for February, and he ducked him in that fight. And now he's got Adama. He's fighting February 1st, which is just a keep busy fight. But I mean, I'm glad they're giving him all these fights because it's good that he's just not sitting around. You see Gamboa, you see different fighters that happens to them. It's never good for them. And another thing is too, it's not just me who thinks Gennady's a special fighter. I was talking to Rudy Hernandez. A lot of people know him as a UFC cut man. Also in boxing, he worked with Mike Alvarado, still does, I believe. And he actually did an excellent job in the Rios rematch, giving Alvarado excellent instructions in the corner, which led to Alvarado successfully defeating Brandon Rios in a convincing manner. So, and he basically said that he thinks all the big money guys they don't want to fight Gennady. They don't want that fight. And he basically added that Gennady's a special fighter and to enjoy him. So there's a respected guy right there. A shout out to Rudy Hernandez. I mean, his brother was also a great fighter as well, and like that. And another one is Ricky Funes from Ten Goose Boxing Gym, which is a legendary gym. Of course, Joe Goose and Diego Corral as his trainer. That's their part of their gym as well. So he also thought that Gennady was an excellent fighter, and he said a hell of a fighter. He's a badass fighter, basically. He said is the only way to describe him. So shout out to Ricky Funes. Also, his nephew's got a fight on Friday. Juan Funes on Friday Night Fights. So check that out as well. And what do you guys think about Gennady Golovkin? Is he overrated, or do you guys just want to see him against better fighters like a Martinez or a bigger name to prove that he's better, or what you've seen is good enough already? Let me know. Comment underneath. Let me know if you like the video. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Appreciate it.